In last part, we saw that civilians wanted to go back, but guards were not opening the gates. At that moment, the officer in charge of the garrison shouted, "Master Chu, come back. If you do not return, we cannot open the gates." His Majesty's orders, "As long as you come back, your past mistakes will be forgotten." Your past mistakes will be forgotten. With the hundreds of guards on the city walls shouting in unison, their voices were like thunder rumbling across the plains. The civilians looked as though they had found their savior. Suddenly, everyone turned in the direction of Xia Army and started crying, "Master, let's go back. Master, save us. Go back with us. Master, go back and apologize to His Majesty." "Master," the woman rushed out from the back of the crowd. In her hurry, she tripped and fell. The child in her arms was hurt and suddenly started to cry with all its strength. With a pitch that seemed to be sharper than ever, the blade of Xia Army. That woman shrieked, "Master, I beg you, save my child. Master, please save my child." In that chilly darkness, the Xia Army stood frozen as they looked to their leader. Chu Xiao's heart seemed to have been torn into a million pieces. Beating into her lips, the taste of iron suddenly spread throughout her mouth. With her hands ice cold, even her fingertips were trembling. Yanshun, Yanshun, you expected all this to happen, right? You expected all this to happen right now. Are you watching on the plains outside Beishao, quietly waiting for me to go back to apologize to you?" With the shrieks sounding wave after wave, thousands of civilians knelt before her. With their heads on the ground, they cried, "Just a few days ago, they showed unwavering loyalty to her and had shouted, 'Long live freedom' with her, yet they are now kneeling and pleading for her to apologize to Yanshun." Reality was so cruel, yet she could do nothing about it. With her eyes dry, she could not longer cry. The bitter taste of defeat lingered in her chest. Fate had pushed her into the abyss of despair. No matter what she did, every step she took led to a dead end. "Master," He Xia walked over and stood firmly behind her while gazing at her in awe. In his gaze, one could see awe and sympathy. "Master," he wanted to comfort her, but he did not know what to say. The world was so vast, yet they had no place to go. "He Xiao," Chu Xiao sighed. At that moment, she felt as though all of her blood had frozen up. She was in such despair that she wanted to die, yet she held on and ordered, "Order for the entire army. We will." It was then, at this very moment, the sound of a flurry of horses galloping resounded from behind. The warriors of Xia Army spun their heads around, only to see the Xia flags waving behind. Shooting in on them, Zhao Yang had attacked again. "Orders for the entire army, intercept the Xia army. For the first time in her life, Chu Xiao felt that the Xia army was so adorable. She did not know if thinking that way was morally correct, but she felt a desperate urge to leave this dilemma. After all, if the Xia army was attacking, the top priority was to fight. She thanked the heavens in her heart that she did not have to make such a decision at that very moment, even though she may have to pay a hefty price later on. Your Highness, the enemy is ready to fight. Call up the attack, Prince Yang calmly instructed. We will leave after closing in. His subordinate was taken aback and could not help but to ask, why? Prince Yang had not spoken for a long while as he gazed into the darkness and quietly said, we cannot let her return to Yanbei. Back and forth, the chase continued through the entire night. The Xia army seems to treat Longyin Pass as a playground. After a while, they would pretend to attack. Only when the sunlight pierced through the thick morning fog did they finally sound the horn of retreat and went back to their camp. Bringing back her exhausted army, Chu Xiao only saw countless pairs of eyes that merely looked on in silence, along with rows of bodies that were nearly arranged before the army. Those that were still alive and breathing the day before were now lifelessly lying before them on the ground. The snow had started to pile up on their faces, covering their features. Seeing how the battle had stopped, people started to leave. The stream of people increased and eventually turned into a river, then an entire ocean. They did not walk towards Longyin Pass. Instead, they headed towards the Yamin Pass of the Xia army. Come back. Pingan stood beside Chu Xiao and called out. He attempted to pull those people back, only to be brushed aside and pushed into the snow. On the ground, he shouted, "Come back, do not go." Yet, no one bothered. The crowd faded into the distance and walked to Prince Yang's army, raising their hands up high. They surrendered and repeatedly emphasized that they were merely civilians. From Princess Yang's formation, a troop of soldiers came out. The thousands of civilians knelt down and, while raising their hands, they kowtowed to them. In the distance, their weeping and the sound of the Xia soldiers' laughter could be heard. The warriors of Xiuli stood rooted to the ground, some crying silently, yet they could not say anything. What could they say? Could they possibly encourage these unarmed people to fight the enemy? Could they possibly promise that they would definitely save them? The snow resumed, and Chu Xiao's heart seemed to have become the permafrost that had not seen the warmth of the sun for centuries. As she looked on at everything with hollow eyes, in the fluttering of the wire flags, the heavens were completely silent as the winter of year 778 finally started. Thank you. Stay with me and like, subscribe and share the video. Thank you.